Good afternoon and welcome back to Tea Time with Afternoon Social. I'm Teresa Lauterbach, your hostess, and today is Milestone Mondays, and we have another exciting new guest today. Her name is Sasha Star Robertson, and she's got a whole lot of stuff she's going to share with us this whole week. She's an intentionality coach, and her business is Intentional Abundance. And she's got some exciting information to share with us about her first planner she's published. Right now it's digital, but she's talked to us about how to get a print copy. And she's got a lot of other interesting backstory. So it's going to be a great week getting to learn and know about Sasha and all the things that she's accomplished and how we can get some tips and advice on what she's done. So good afternoon, Sasha. Thank you for joining us today. And
hi, thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to you. You said you've got your new planner. I'll let you explain it to us and tell us all about how you got it, created it and got it published and all that wonderful stuff that we like to learn about. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Sasha. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. You said good afternoon, and it is the afternoon social, and I'm over here saying good morning because I'm in Alaska, and we're 4 hours behind East Coast. So it's always like, wait, morning, afternoon, evening. It's always a mix-up trying to figure out these time zones, right?
Right.
So I just want to say thank you, Teresa, so much for having me on here. I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better, have this conversation, and even make new friends. So I'm super excited to be here and to share just about all facets of my life. I'm excited about all the topics we're going to talk about this week, but I know today is this Milestone Mondays, and a huge milestone that I just met recently is going through this process of publishing my very own life and goals planner. So it's been over a year. I say over a year, but really it's kind of been my whole life, being a planner addict and buying all these planners, doing research on planning and time management. That's kind of culminated in this. And it's funny because I think back to a few years ago, I called it the Planner Evaluation Project, where I was just evaluating a lot of different planners and trying to figure out which one did I feel like was the best one out there. And when people would introduce me or describe what I was doing, they would tell people that I was creating my own planner. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But it ended up kind of being this, prophecy or premonition type thing, because now I have that. So super, super excited. It's called the Life and Goals Planner, and it primarily has three main sections in it. The first section is what I call the big picture in 3 Ps, breaking down your priorities, your purposes, and your passions, and really digging into those three. I said them out of order, but really digging into who you are, who you were created to be, what your gifts and your strengths are, and then planning your life according to what matters most to you, not just now in the season that you're living in, but also in this big picture of who do you want to be when you're 80, and what do you want to be said about you after you leave this world? And so that's section 1. Section 2 digs a lot into self-care, soul care, mindset work, making sure you're thinking positively about yourself and where you're at in your life currently, not just about where you want to go, which I feel like is a huge thing that's missing in a lot of goals planners, is always just so focused on the future and not about right now. And then the third section breaks down the kind of micro habits and time management, the typical goal setting stuff that you would see in a planner. And within that, there's a monthly section, a weekly you're using those sections, individual pages from the sections. It's very customizable. So right now, anyone who purchases instantly gets access to the digital copy. And then the printed copy is the one that's kind of been this roller coaster of a ride for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been totally different. The digital one was very easy for me to get out and put out there. I'm very comfortable in, I guess, the digital design world. And then it came to the printed copy, where pages are having to offset, and I'm needing to include page numbers and margins and cut lines and bleed lines and things that aren't typical terminology in the digital world came into play. And I have printed or designed a perfectionist, and that I definitely had to manage in not allowing the perfectionist tendencies in me to take over and take control of that, but also in working with the print company, finding out all the different add-ons that I can do, picking a cover and binding style and stuff like that, and a lot more with the publishing and printing company than I had expected. So I should be having the first printed copy in my hands any day now. And once I have a chance to just flip through that and give the thumbs up, I'll be placing the mass quantity order from the printing company, and those will instantly be sent out to all of those who have already purchased prior to that date. So that is kind of like in a gist, my story, but I'm happy to answer any questions or go into any more detail about any of this lessons that I've learned through the process and all of that.
Well, what is the biggest lesson that you learned throughout this process?
I think the biggest one is to give myself grace. I have multiple times been like, wait, what? And like wanted to rip my hair out or struggled because something was spelled wrong or out of the margin or just not going in the timeline of which I thought that it should have gone. And so it is definitely a learning process. It's a learning curve for me doing things this way through this company. But I also know it's just the first of many. This has opened a huge door for me. I'm interested in providing different customization, offering different printed products, becoming a published author, of writing an actual book one day. And so just giving myself grace through this process has been really good for me, that it's not damaged my mindset towards publishing in the future, and really opened the door to possibilities of what can be done next.
Well, when also I hear about all the new terminology and all the learning, and did you have a lot of resources, or did you have to do all that on your own? What kind of support system did you have for learning what you needed to learn to accomplish this?
I'm very much a self-learner. So the company itself has been helpful. They've got some little ebooks or things online. But some of the stuff has been like, okay, here it is. And then they're like, wait, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I looked for this stuff on the website to make sure before I submitted it. And now, I have to go back. I could have done this stuff at the beginning. So definitely no blame on them. I think they're used to just working with people who are more experienced. But for myself, it was all learn as I go, plugging into a few different things in their ebooks, and then kind of just self-designing from there and grinding it out.
Well, now we all talk about what we're going to do in the future and everything. So what was one of the things that you learned about yourself that you could help you with your next project, make things a little bit easier? Did you learn something new about yourself that could help you move forward?
I think the biggest answer to that would be that I can do it. When I thought about making this planner, never did I imagine it was going to be 100 pages. Mm-hmm. Never did I imagine it was going to be a tool that just includes so much of my soul and my life experience into. And I keep saying, oh yeah, I'm going to write a book one day. I'm going to be a published author. And my husband keeps reminding me, you have 100 pages right here. Once this project is done, you're going to be on Amazon. You are a published author. Stop saying you want to be. You've done all of this work. It's 100 pages. He's like, that's nothing that's easy, to accomplish. And it's a vision that I've had and held for many years. That's now in the hands of people. I think right around 20 people have purchased the planner and have access to the digital copy right now, and are anxiously awaiting this printed copy. And that just blows my mind that that's something that I've sat down and created and poured my heart into. So just knowing that I can, if I set my mind to it, and if I consistently make progress each day and don't allow my mind drama to hold me back, that I really can do almost anything I set my mind to. And I believe so many other women can too. And so I'm here to be an encouragement for that too, because that is something, it took me the long route, the hard way to learn. And so
kind of froze up there for a second. So
okay.
I don't know if we caught all that, but so basically it's that belief in yourself. Like you said, you gave yourself grace and believed in yourself. And like your husband's pointing out to you, you got to believe that you are, and you accomplished this. You are an author. You are a business owner. And I think that is one example that we see people like you achieve these milestones, other women can say, yeah, if I believe in myself enough, I am this, I am that. I've created a t-shirt, mug and things that says, I am possibility. And I think that's exactly what I think you've learned, is that you are the possibility. You are accomplishing all of this. So it is great to hear that. Yes. All the accomplishments that you and others have made. And so I think we're getting kind of close to a little bit of our time. Is there something else that you'd like to share about your experience with achieving your milestone that comes to mind before we call this a day?
I think just maybe even sharing a little bit more encouragement that with any goals, but especially with bigger ones like this, like keep your initial reason why you want to do this, why you started on this journey in mind, but also keeping that end vision in mind, and just making little steps. Teeny tiny little steps are enough. And I heard this TikTok the other day. A guy said people, when they think about time travel, they think about if they go back in time, they can do some tiny, almost insignificant action that's going to change the course of history, or the course of history and the future. But not many people think about where they're at today. And if I just did this tiny, almost insignificant action, how can that change the trajectory of my future? And so I think holding on to that, these teeny tiny steps. There were some days I hardly touched my planner, and there were some days that I only got to work on it for an hour, and there were some days that I spent 8 hours straight working in it. But it was keeping the end goal in mind and not letting it die off that brought me to where I am today. So that was a huge lesson and reminder that I had learned throughout that process that I know I'm going to take forward into all of my future dreams and future goals that I have to keep me focused and moving forward.
Fantastic. Now I think we were talking right before we got on the call today that your next milestone, you wanted to write another real book, even though you already have a book. What is it? What kind of idea do you have for writing for your next milestone that you're going to accomplish?
A lot, actually. I know for years, probably like 5+ years, maybe even a decade, it's been on my heart to write a book, but I was just like, I don't know what about. And then now I have probably a half a dozen ideas, but sticking out to me most was prior to sitting down and creating this planner, and like when my business kind of came to fruition, I just sat down and did what I call a brain dump, just get it all out of my brain onto paper, so I'm not having to carry this around anymore. And this brain dump that eventually turned into my coaching system for moms ended up being this 70 pages of just like, some of them are even just bullet points still that I need to go back in and elaborate on and add stories and maybe even do a little bit more research to add into there. And so that book is already, I don't know, a third of the way written, you could say. And so I think that would probably be the easiest one for me to move forward in is just kind of a book filled with systems that moms can pick and choose to help manage their time better.
Fabulous. That sounds like that would be really interesting to read. And it goes right along with your planner, but when we don't need to stop with just one goal, we got to keep going and doing the next thing, and taking the one before leads into the next one. And I just love how we build lives for ourselves when we do that. So
thank you so much for saying that too. Sometimes I can always be, and I think so many of us are guilty of this, to like discredit our ideas or the value that we have to share with the world and bring to the table. So I appreciate you saying that. It helps like validate me a little bit, but also I know it's going to be an encouragement to anyone who hears this as well.
So, well, this is fabulous. I love talking with you today. And of course, we're going to talk with Sasha again on Wednesday, and we'll get to hear a little bit more about her own story. She's an adoptive mom, and we get to hear a little bit more about what's going on there and all the challenges she has about being a mother. So be sure to tune in on Woman to Woman Wednesday, and we will see Sasha again then. And thank you for joining us today. We'll see you Wednesday.
Thank you.